I'm going to bring on the next person, our next speaker. Yay, Kelly Kerr. And let's see, yep, you're unmuted, so that's wonderful. So I'm going to do a little introduction. Over here. Welcome to VCOP 15, Vegan Convergence of the Peoples, number 15. I'm Rebecca Allen BJ for short, and I'm so pleased to introduce to you Kelly Kerr, aka the VeganAbler, a dedicated vegan advocate and food enthusiast who is on a mission to connect with individuals interested in incorporating more plant-based meals into their diet. Whether you're taking your first steps toward veganism or seeking guidance and companionship on your journey, Kelly is here to assist you with shopping, cooking, adapting your vegan lifestyle, and today she's going to demo for us. So welcome, Kelly. I'm going to get off screen and let you go to town.
Thank you, VJ, and thank you to Sailesh and all of the Climate Healers teams for having me do this cooking demo today. I'm so honored to be doing this vegan seafood demo for the very special guest of this VCOP, Paul Watson. Knowing that our oceans are at risk of total collapse, and with animal agriculture being a big cause of that, just so people can eat meat, is one of the reasons I am so passionate about teaching people how to cook and eat more plant-based foods, and why I started the VeganAbler. But I know we don't have a lot of time. We're doing 2 recipes today, so I'm going to dive right in. And just because my kitchen smells amazing with all these fresh herbs that I have, so yeah, I want to start using them. So the first recipe we're going to do today is vegan crab cakes. And now this recipes today are all whole foods plant-based. I will teach you if you want to add a little bit of the pleasure trap to it, you know, with a little bit of oil, but what we're going to be doing today is all whole foods plant-based. And so, yes, the first recipe we're going to do is our hearts of palm crab cakes. And the first thing you need to do is get 1 15-ounce can of chickpeas, which I already have, and you just rinse them and put them aside. And then you want to get 2 14-ounce cans of hearts of palm. Now, I've already cut them, but I did want to show you one of them, just because this is how they come. They come very long. They're very soft, though. And then what I'm going to do is just cut it on straight and so down and basically make corners, because you want it to be flaky for the crab texture. And this is very, very flaky. And we're just going to pulse these very, very quickly. You don't want to pulse it too much. It's just going to get mushy. You just want to incorporate the chickpeas and the hearts of palm. I'm also going to put a fresh garlic in. You can also put garlic powder, but fresh is always better. So I'm going to put 1, but if you like garlic, feel free to add another one. So I'm just going to get those into my food processor. Now, if you, I use canned chickpeas just for time, but obviously you can use soaked chickpeas as well. It will be even cheaper. Just do about 1.5 cups of your soaked chickpeas. And keep some of the brine from your chickpeas when you boil them, because you do want to boil them, not just soak them and boil them so they get soft. Keep some of that brine. You're going to use it in your recipe. I'm just going to very quickly pulse this. So I did it 6 times. I'm going to do it about 10 times. I'm just going to look. Yeah, that texture is perfect. You just basically want to, I might do it 1 or 2 more times, but the hearts of palm is very flaky. I'll show you in a sec. You just want to break down this chickpeas just so there's not whole ones, but even if there is, it's totally fine too. So here you go. Show you the texture. Hopefully you can see it on the screen, but the hearts of palm is very, very flaky. The chickpeas flaky. And we're just going to set this aside because we're going to get the rest of our stuff for the crab cakes ready. And then we're going to incorporate that into it. So next, you want to take 4 tablespoons of that chickpea brine. And you want to put it, actually, get a bigger bowl. You're going to put it into a bowl, and you're just going to get a whisk And I mean, so chickpea is also called, the brine from chickpea is also called aquafaba. It's an amazing ingredient. It whips up like an egg white, and you can do a lot of vegan pastries with it. You could do meringue, you could do macarons with them. You could do mousse with it. So I'm going to whip this, and in just like a minute, like you just want to get it foamy, but it's not going to take long. It's not even going to take me a minute. You can do this with a hand mixer as well, but I'm going to use a whisk. You just want to, like, it's already foaming. And you basically just wanted to get it to a state where most of it is foam, but it doesn't take long. And as you can see, like I did that for a minute. I don't think you're gonna be able to see, but it's already foamy. So yeah, super easy. And then we're going to add my mayo. So I made a homemade mayo, and I'll tell you what's in it, just because I didn't want to use a commercial mayo, vegan mayo. And I want it to be oil-free. So I made a cashew mayo, and I just made it with cashews, lemon juice, apple cider vinegar, a bit of mustard, some garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and water. That's it. Super easy, super healthy. It's thick, it's creamy, it's delicious. So I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see it's super thick, just like mayo. So super, super easy. So I'm going to use that as my mayo base. But if you want it, again, as sort of that pleasure trap, the oil, you can use a commercial one. But this gives you healthy oils from cashews and not the processed oils. So you're going to add in about a quarter to a third a cup of mayo. I'm going to start with a quarter, and then I'm just going to see what it's like afterwards and add some more if I think it needs it. So I got my mayo in there. And then I'm going to add some lemon juice. Again, the lemon juice is sort of to your taste. I'm going to add probably a tablespoon or two. I'm going to start with 1 tablespoon. But if you like it on the tangy side, you could add 2. Actually, I'll do 2 because I do like it tangy. And I actually did have fresh lemons. I just forgot to squeeze them. So I'm just using my lemon juice out of my fridge. And then a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And if you don't have Dijon, you can use regular. Dijon just has a nice tang to it. You're going to get some Worcestershire sauce. Now, be careful when you buy Worcestershire sauce. Most commercial Worcestershire sauce has anchovy in it. So you want to read the ingredients carefully and make sure that, yeah, there is no sea life in your Worcestershire sauce. I found this one at our local Asian grocery store, and it was super cheap. Yeah, just happened to probably be accidentally vegan. But there's also a great brand that has a wizard on it. I can't think of the name offhand. That's in most of our grocery stores when I look for vegan Worcestershire sauce, and that one's great as well. So you're gonna add a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Again, more to taste, because this is gonna give it a little bit of a saltiness to it. And then we're gonna add our dry ingredients now. So we've got 2 teaspoons of kelp powder. Kelp powder is, if you have a bulk store near your house, it's probably not hard to find. But if you don't have it, you could just grind up some nori. You can get, I'll show you some other stuff that I have. There's, I've got just like a sea vegetable that you can use. I've got some wakame. You can grind that up. All of this stuff is delicious and can be used. You just want to really infuse sort of a fishy taste into it, which is why seaweed is so great. So this is just plain seaweed. This is just nori sheet. You can grind this up and add it. And then I just got some dried seaweed as well that you can, yeah, I have a lot of this because I actually make carrot locks with it. But yes, otherwise you can use, I also have some like sea kelp seasoning. This is a brag. So this one should be easy to find as well. But I'm gonna use kelp powder. I'm gonna use 2 teaspoons of it. Probably gonna put in a tablespoon just because I do want to really infuse that flavor. Yeah, so I always add more. And then Old Bay seasoning. So maybe if you haven't heard of Old Bay, then you can just get like a regular seafood seasoning. Yeah, like they're super cheap. We have them at our like international grocery stores. They're all vegan. It's just herbs. But Old Bay is sort of the main spice when you see a vegan seafood recipe. So you're gonna add, I've got a tablespoon here, and then some salt and pepper to taste. So I'm probably just gonna add like a teaspoon of salt, because it's already gonna get the salt from the Worcestershire sauce. And if you don't have Worcestershire sauce, you can do a tamari as well. Or here again, I love Bragg's coconut nectar. I think it's called coconut anemones. In Canada, it's called coconut nectar seasoning. You can use that as well to replace the Worcestershire sauce. So we're going to mix this just to combine. And then we're going to add some breadcrumbs. So be careful with breadcrumbs. I mean, the best is to make your own. But if you do buy them commercially, just be careful because most of them have cheese in it, Parmesan cheese. So panko is the only one in my supermarkets that does not have cheese. So I'm using panko for them. And you want to add about 1.5 to 2 cups. I'm going to start with 1.5. And this is going to hold the crab cake, give it its form. It's going to absorb it. It's going to give it its form. And you're also going to use this to coat them afterwards. And then we're going to add some green onion. So you need probably around 1/4 to 1/2 cup. I got a 1/2 cup here, but I am going to save just a little bit to put on top. And I just dice them up, just mince them. And then a tablespoon of parsley. You can use dried parsley, but using fresh herbs as much as possible is obviously the most desirable. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon. I'll use some of those on top as well. And then you're going to add your hearts of palm and chickpea. And this is going to make a lot, probably at least 8, not 10, depending on the size that you do. So you just want to fold everything together and incorporate everything. Get the mixture, get all the breadcrumbs wet, because when you cook it, you don't want to, I mean, the crunch of the breadcrumbs not too bad, but you do want to get it soft. And so it's here after you incorporate everything that you kind of just want to look at your mixture and just see If it's like really wet, you could add more breadcrumbs. Mine's actually really, really good. You just want to make sure that it's going to hold together into that patty form. So I'm just gonna get underneath it and I'm gonna check in. So you would put this in the freezer for about a half hour just to let it set. It's easier to make your patties that way, your cakes. But you could just test beforehand to just kind of see, you know, and mine is forming like pretty well. So it's only going to get thicker as it goes into the freezer. So I'm not going to add anything more, but you can taste it at this point just to like see if, you know, you want more salt, maybe you want some more lemon, maybe it doesn't taste fishy enough, you know, that infusing that kelp or whatever seafood that you might, the seaweed that you might use into it. But mine tastes really good, so it doesn't need anything. So yes, I would put this in the freezer and then I would take it out after a half hour, form them, and then I baked mine. The ones I'm going to show you, I baked. I put them in the oven, in the air fryer, and I was cooking them in the oven, and then I put them in the air fryer. And if you have an air fryer, because if you don't fry them, I personally would use an air fryer. I find that just because they cook a lot faster. I did my air fryer, I did 370 for 10 to 12 minutes. So depending on your air fryer, I'm sure you'll know, you know, whether it tends to cook faster or slower. I always start on the low side and then I kind of add a minute, 2 minutes and until I cook it thoroughly. And they crisp up really, really nice. And obviously I put no oil on them, so they still crisp up perfect. I'll show you the end results. If you put them in the oven, then just, form them into your crab cakes. Put the 375 in your oven, probably for around 40 minutes. I was doing them at 375 for 15 and they still weren't getting brown. So you're probably going to put them in at least 40 minutes, flip them after 20, check and make sure. But I did find baking them, they definitely take longer to brown and crisp up. So I'll show you my end results because obviously I have them. And this is what they look like. So they're perfectly crispy. Hopefully you can see. And I would just put my mayonnaise on top. I mean, you can easily take cashews and make a sour cream. It's pretty much the same thing as the mayo. You could just take a dollop of this, put it on top with some parsley and some green onion, or you can have an aioli, whatever you like, you would want to eat it with. You can eat it with some applesauce, whatever you want. But yeah, they hold up perfectly. They're really nice and crispy. And most importantly, what you want to check is to make sure that they're cooked right through, which they are. Actually didn't try mine today. Yeah, they're perfect. They're delicious. Yeah, these will be a really, really big hit. And you can turn these into sandwiches as well. We put it on a bun. They'd be perfect. And they would freeze it well as well. So you can make these and put them in the freezer. That's super easy to do. So that is how simple vegan crab cakes are. Yeah, so let's move this out of the way and we'll get on to our next recipe. But I also just wanted to talk about some types of ingredients that you can use for like seafood substitutes. I have some stuff here to show you. I got my sidekick here, so if you hear me talking, it's Ray. He's with Climate Healers as well. I might need him to pass me some stuff. So I personally find the vegan seafood definitely has areas of improvement when it comes to like commercial stuff that you can buy. Luckily, we don't need it. We can eat whole food, plant-based with amazing ingredients and make our own vegan seafood. But if you're, just don't feel like you're good in the kitchen or whatever, and you want to buy something commercial or, you're in a rush, we have, we're so lucky here in Toronto. We have a lot of Asian vegetarian like meat stores, and we can get there's these shrimp here. I'll take one out and show you what they look like, and they're made with konjac. Now this one is just like all white. You can get some that are like very, very realistic. They look exactly like a shrimp. I mean, just the texture and the shape looks exactly like a shrimp, but you can get them even more realistic. And this is made with konjac, which is yam. And this one's great. Again, if you're eating a whole foods plant-based diet, konjac's great because it's like zero fat. It's just yam. So it's a great ingredient to use if you can find vegan seafood made out of konjac. And you can put these in a broth. We're gonna do vegan scallops next, and instead of frying them in a butter sauce, I'm gonna fry them in a vegetable broth. And you can do the same with these as well. They get soft pretty fast. They absorb the flavor because konjac is flavorless. So they're a really, really great thing to buy if you are in a major city and you can find them. But please like look for them because they're great. They're really great. We also have. This is a vegan salmon. It's sashimi. Again, it's made out of konjac flour. Pretty minimal ingredients. And as you can see, it looks just like salmon, fat-free. There's nothing in it. It's basically like water and konjac powder and a few thickeners. But again, if you're looking to impress someone, before I went vegan, seafood was the last thing I cut out because I love seafood. My father was a fisherman. His life was dedicated to fishing. So that was a big part of my life and a hard thing to cut out. So when I went vegan, I actually wouldn't even go into like a sushi place. Sushi was my absolute favorite, and sashimi was my favorite. I couldn't even go into a sushi place, even though there was vegetarian sushi, because I did not want to be tempted. And then we found a vegetarian sushi place in Toronto, and they had this, and it was vegan, and it was absolutely incredible. It had everything that I thought that I missed from actual fish. The texture's spot on. You put some soy sauce on this, and like no one would know that this was not an animal. Wasn't a salmon, right? This stuff is incredible. And of course there's other brands out there. There's other seafood brands that you can buy. Again, if you're not a cook, you don't like cooking, you just want something easy, pull out of your freezer. Gardein has great stuff. Probably Gardein is the best one here, but we don't need that. Again, if you like to cook, which I'm trying to teach you, you can use natural products like just actual plants. And I'm sure a lot of you probably heard of banana blossoms, but if not, they are the flowers from a common type of wild banana, and they are commonly eaten as a vegetable in India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asian countries. And you're eating the interior edible part of it, and it's like chunky, and it's fleshy, and it's flaky, and it's kind of similar to an artichoke in what it is that you're eating, the flesh of it, but it doesn't have a strong flavor. It's a very neutral flavor, so it's perfect for fish because it looks like a white fish, which is what most fish and chips fish is made out of, just a neutral white fish. And it will absorb all of these amazing seaweed flavors that you're infusing into it. So just load up on these seaweeds and let it soak in it. And again, this is not whole foods plant-based, but if you like fish and chips, battered fish and chips, you just make yourself a batter. Make sure you get a vegan beer and do fish and chips, and it's delicious. But you could also just use it sort of in the same way that I did with the hearts of palm. pulse it in your food processor, and you can bake it and make it another way. It acts very similar to it. And hearts of palm doesn't have a strong flavor too. So again, it's going to absorb all of these flavors that you're using. There's also celeriac, which is celery root is another name for it. It's a root vegetable. It's eaten throughout the world. And you can eat it raw or cooked. It's used in a lot of like high-end culinary, high-end restaurants. You can eat it mashed, roasted, stewed, and I've not eaten it, but it says that it tastes slightly like celery, but again, which is a pretty neutral flavor. It could absorb a lot of the flavors that you're infusing. And that's what, when we go plant-based, and that's really what we're missing. We're not missing the animal that we're giving up. We're missing those flavors. And that's what's so great and creative about plant-based cooking, is that you can infuse those flavors back and not harm those animals. Then of course there's tofu that you can use. You can get it. There was a big TikTok trend during COVID, during the lockdown, where they would take, they were making like, it was a salmon, they were actually eating salmon. And then I saw a lot of vegan chefs do it vegan, and they were taking tofu and they're basically shaping it like a piece of salmon, and then scoring it, adding some beet juice and to give it the color of flesh. And then they were cooking it. They put some nori on top, so some seaweed on top to give it a skin, and they were cooking it, and that went viral. So I mean, you can get so creative with plant-based cooking, which is what I absolutely love. I did not care at all about cooking until I went vegan. And then, so for vegan sushi, you can use tomatoes. You can use watermelon to mimic tuna. You just infuse those, again, you're infusing those flavors, you're letting them set. So you're adding those flavors into them, letting it set, and then they become really, really soft, and they taste just, like these fish that you used to eat. Then you could also use eggplant for unagi. So there's just so many things that you can do. Carrot lox, I do this all the time. So taking carrots and cooking them and shaving them like lox, and again adding that seaweed and that oil. So this isn't whole foods plant-based, because you do need to mimic the smoked salmon. You do need oil, because that's what smoked salmon is very oily, but it's delicious. And then of course chickpeas for a tuna salad. We also use sunflower seeds and have made a sunflower seed like tuna salad. And jackfruit. Jackfruit is great. You can do tuna melts with it. Jackfruit is just such a great thing. So yeah, those are just some ideas of how you can use plant-based foods to make vegan seafood. And that's just, the options are endless. It's just your creativity. So next, what we're going to do is some vegan oyster mushroom scallops. So I'm just going to move my thing out of the way. I'm going to give it to Ray, because I've got tight space here. And I'm going to.
Kelly, that looks so good.
I'm just going to bring in my my cook top. Can you just unplug it? Sorry, it's just tight space here.
That's quite all right.
Okay, so let's get started. I didn't actually cook these yet. I have mine soaking, so we will do it real time. Okay, so first thing you want to do is get 4 to 6 oyster mushrooms. These are oyster mushrooms. You've probably seen them. You might have seen them in small size. You really want these big ones, these nice, big, thick ones, because they are just the size of the scallops, a typical scallop. So you need 4 of these, and then you're going to cut them into like 1-inch slices. So approximately like that thick. I just keep them the way they are, because they're pretty much circular for the most part. And then what you want to do is just score them. Don't go too far down. you just want to score them so that when you soak the marinade, the broth that you want to soak them with for a few hours or overnight before you cook them, it really infuses into the mushroom. So in case you don't know what scoring is, I basically just lightly touched the top and I just went one way and then the other. And so, you know, they're like not far in at all. But if you leave them overnight, then they're going to absorb the flavors of the broth perfectly. So I'll just quickly do the rest of them. I did the rest of my mushrooms just to save some time, but I'll do this one. And also, I'm sure, you know, for those of you that have eaten scallops, maybe you're currently eating scallops, you know that if you eat them at a restaurant, they often have it scored as well, because you, hopefully I can accomplish it, because again, I'm not going to be doing like a lemon butter sauce. I'm going to be doing a vegetable broth with a lemony vegetable broth to cook them. Hopefully I can get them charred, but that's how often they come in a restaurant. So we will do our best to mimic it as much as possible. But just the look of them itself is amazing. You know, they look like scallops. And even if you don't have to, you know, have it be exactly the same as, you know, a scallop, you know, that you're used to eating, you know, it takes a while for our taste buds to change, and just sort of understanding that and introducing ourselves to new flavors and textures and whatever, you know, is what I think is so fun about plant-based cooking. Okay, so I've got 4 to 6 oyster mushrooms. I think I did 6 in there. And then you want 1.5 cups of a vegetable broth. So you could either do a homemade one if you're concerned about salt, so you can, you know, limit your salt intake, or just a store-bought one. So I've got it here, and I'm going to just use, I made 2 cups of broth, and I'm going to save, actually, I think I have a little bit more. So I would say do 2 cups of broth, start with 1 cup for your broth for your oyster mushrooms to absorb the flavor with, and keep 1/2 to 3/4 for when you're cooking, because as we cook them, it will evaporate. So I'm just going to keep that. So I do have 1.5, and I have probably got a cup here that I'm going to use for cooking. So then I have a tablespoon of, again, soy sauce or coconut aminos. I'm going to use the coconut aminos. This is going to give it the saltiness. So again, if you're concerned about salt in your diet, you can eliminate this. This I don't find very salty. I like using this more than the soy sauce. I mean, obviously I love soy sauce, or tamari too. But I do like the coconut. I love the taste of the coconut aminos. And then 2 teaspoons of, again, kelp powder, kelp granules, seaweed granules, whatever you can find. Again, if you can't find this, then grind up some seaweed and add as much. You're going to taste this after. Just add as much as you want to, you know, for the flavor to match, you know, what you're hoping to achieve. But 2 teaspoons, I probably put in a tablespoon here, but 2 teaspoons to start, because you want to start with less and add more than to overdo it, and then it's really hard to fix a recipe at that point. And then I've got a tablespoon of miso paste. And this is going to give you some saltiness as well. And I'm just using a white miso paste. So I'm just going to mix this together. And now normally when you make your, when you do this, you would want your vegetable broth to be warm so it will break down everything a little bit easier. Right now it's probably gonna taste a little gritty just because my broth has cooled down. I did it earlier today when I was prepping for it. But just mix it together and then have a taste and see if it's, you know, what you're aiming to. Like, so I actually added some seaweed into my broth afterwards so I can just take it out. I find this to just taste like vegetable. I definitely think it needs some more, something to give it that, you know, fishiness. And scallops have they're a pretty mild mushroom. If you're looking for an umami, like, again, this is not seafood, so it's a different flavor, but it will give you a huge umami boost. And even if you don't use it for this recipe, I highly recommend if you can find this ingredient to get it, because it's amazing. I know a lot of plant-based meats. There's this really great YouTuber, Sauce Stash. He uses this. This is actually where I heard about it, and then I was able to find it at my local Asian grocery store. But it is just mushroom seasoning, and it's just mushroom and salt. So again, it's a huge umami boost. Miso is a huge umami a boost as well, but this is like 10 times the flavor of miso. It's delicious. But yes, salt is the second ingredient. So if you are mindful of salt, just use this. You don't need a lot of this anyway, just because a little goes such a long way, but it's got the most amazing flavors. So if you want to add another umami boost to this recipe, you can use mushroom powder. I did use it in mine, and I just use like a tiny sprinkle, which is what I'll do now. So this is just sort of an optional one. It doesn't need it, but I'm going to because I really, really like it. So I'm just going to mix that in. I added some of the sea kelp to brag that I have, just to give it a different flavor. And I also, in my other broth last night, so I wanted it to sit overnight, I added some of the wakame. And again, the reason why you want a warm broth is when you add these, you do want them to get soft. Otherwise, I mean, even if you add it to cold, if you do let your your oyster mushrooms sit overnight, they will eventually get soft. But if you add them into a warm broth now, they'll get soft a lot faster. Because right now they're really, really hard and crunchy. So I'm going to add some of those, and then I'll probably throw in some seaweed, some nori as well. If after I taste the broth, once I add them, I still think that it needs some type of boost of a fishy flavor. And that's all you need to do. And then you just add your oyster mushrooms to the broth. Now, at the minimum, you want to let them soak. Like, this does require some preparation. Ideally, again, you'd want this overnight, but at the minimum, it would be a few hours. And I'm just using my brand new Teflon bowl, stainless steel bowl, but which is great. And you just really, really want to cover them. You want to give it a good shake. You want to cover them, and just really make sure that you coat them. They're not. I do have a lot of broth. I would just check on this throughout the night if I was soaking them overnight, and just kind of shift them around and make sure they've all been sufficiently immersed into the broth. so that the mushroom has absorbed the flavors in every part of it. So I'm just going to put that aside and I'll show you mine from when I did last night. And they're super soft now, very, very soft and delicate. They're soaked right through. I'm not sure if you can see the score, like you can see how it's right through, so you can see how I scored them. So these are perfect. These are ready to go. So I'm going to put them off to the side. Let's move some stuff out of the way. I don't think I need this. I'm going to move that away too. I'll use it someday. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to turn it on now. Sorry, this is going to take a little while to heat up. So I'm just going to put it to like a medium high heat. And then I'm going to fry them first with just a little bit of broth, just so I can sear them. And then I'm going to make, like using the broth, I'm going to fry up some garlic. And I'm going to use fresh garlic and then some lemon juice and salt and pepper, like really, really simple, and make like, instead of like a lemon butter sauce, we'll do like a lemon broth sauce. So you still have that nice lemony touch to it, but it's healthier. And you can serve this with pasta, if you eat pasta, gluten-free pasta, brown rice pasta, whatever. You can eat this with rice. You can eat this with any type of grain. Yeah, delicious. So I'm just going to add some broth just so I'll know when it's done. But apologies that this is going to take a few minutes to. Yeah. So I don't know if there's any questions for me in the meantime while this heats up, but I'm happy to answer them now.
One comment was about kelp is very high in iodine.
Yes, I do have. Yes, I do have the information. Sorry, I got all my notes here about the benefits of seaweed. So seaweed has just sort of trace minerals, which is known to prevent like chronic diseases. It's got magnesium, iodine, potassium, iron, zinc. It's got antioxidants, so it's got vitamin A, C, E. It can protect your body from cell damage. Dulse can help with nerve system, bone health. It can improve blood circulation. So seaweed is really, really good for you. You just have to be careful if you are, is it hypothyroid? Yeah, hypothyroid because of the iodine. But otherwise, iodine can be good for you. But yeah, seaweed is a great. It's great to use as some plant-based cooking, like when you're cooking with doing something seafood related. But just in general, it's healthy food. Okay, so I got a little bit of my broth in here, and I'm just going to take my scallops now. And actually, I don't even need it because they're really delicate, and the broth is really absorbed into it. So into the mushrooms. So we could have just used the broth that's going to come out of them.
Why was the crab cake mixture frozen? Does it just make it easier to form?
Yes, yeah, it just allows things to sort of settle, allows the panko crumbs to soften, and then from there you can form them easier. Yeah, you can put them in the fridge as well. Like you don't want them frozen. I just put it in the freezer, you know, for, yeah, like I said, like 20 minutes or so, just to speed up the cooling process. That's really it. You do not want them frozen. You just, it's just a quicker way to cool them, to cool it, to to the state where you can form them. Like, but I showed you, you know, like right after I did them, like I still actually, my patty's here, the one I made, it's still perfectly formed. So you don't really need to put it in the freezer, you know, just to cool down a bit, if you don't want to. You just have to be careful. That's why I said, like, start with a little less mayonnaise, a little less of the wet ingredients, and then just add it if it looks like it's too dry. But mine was perfect. You know, the water from the hearts of palm, even though I rinsed them, and the chickpeas, I rinsed my chickpeas as well. But you know, you can start with a little bit less chickpea brine, a little bit less mayo, and then just add a little bit more liquid if you find it too dry. But mine's perfect. So if anything, I could probably add a little bit more mayo, but like they're formed perfectly. So you really don't need to. And these are actually great. So I've got mine on high. And you're just going to cook them for a few minutes on either side. I'm going to flatten them and try to sear them a little bit. Get them a little bit charred before I make my my sauce for them. But yeah, just a couple minutes on each side, probably like 8 to 10 minutes. And then after they're cooked, then you could make your sauce. So I'm just gonna watch these. And we should be done in 5 minutes. So again, these are like really simple recipes, and I'm talking and explaining things. But if you're doing this, you know, and you prep beforehand, you can have like really impressive whole food, plant-based, you know, meals that is relatively low cost. You know, I know oyster mushrooms, depending on where you get them from, they can be on the pricier side. If you are near an Asian grocery store, definitely look there, because I was going to order them from a delivery place, and they have all organic, and they were going to cost me quite a bit just for a few of them. I actually went to a market a few weeks ago to support a local nonprofit. It's a local food bank called Feed Scarborough, and they had oyster mushrooms, and I bought them, but they weren't the big ones that I wanted, but I bought them anyway, and I paid $1 each. And they were tiny. And I got 4 huge ones that I showed you for under $4, and like it's going to do a meal of 4 easily. So all the other ingredients is inexpensive, you know, the stuff you'll have in your house, right? So yeah, overall it is you know, they're relatively inexpensive meals, but they're delicious, and they will impress your non-vegan family very easily. I wish that my father was here. My father passed a few years ago, but I wish he was here, that I could have made this for him. He was a little stubborn, but he would eat some of my food. But I think he would have been impressed with this. So this is great. So yeah, again, I'm doing whole food, plant-based with no oil. So if you don't cook that way all the time or at all, you know, you could add just a little bit of butter here to help sear them, but you really don't need it. Like, aside from my pan getting a little brown from the mushroom, I'll show you, like, they're searing up great. Here, I'll show you one. I don't know. Again, sorry if you can't see. If you want to show them, but like, they're searing perfect, right? And that's what you want. You want, like, just you tip it. There you go, right? They can cook a little bit more, but that's, you know, we're getting there.
Looks great.
Okay, so let's flip them, because they're getting nice and seared. So we can make our, you know what, I'm going to take them off the burner. so I can add my garlic and fry up my garlic and make the sauce, and I'll put them in and let them cook a little bit more with the lemon sauce. So for the lemon, not butter sauce, you're going to use, you probably have between half a cup and a cup of your vegetable broth leftovers. So I'm going to use just a little bit. And I have 2 cloves of garlic here because I love garlic. So just some minced garlic. And I'm just going to fry this up for a few minutes in my broth. If you love me and love the smell of garlic, I love the smell of garlic cooking. And then after a few minutes, once the garlic's been cooked and just softened a bit, you add a juice of 1 lemon, so approximately a tablespoon, and then salt and pepper to taste. And that's it. And then you can add a little bit more of your broth and then add your scallops back in. So I think we still have a few minutes. I'll be able to do that as we talk. But that's it. I'm just gonna, oh, it's actually on that. So I don't want to burn my garlic. Are there any other questions? I know we're getting close to time and I'm almost done too. So this is actually perfect.
Well, it was a mushroom related question, not necessarily seafood, but have you worked with lion's mane mushrooms?
No, I wish. They're so expensive here.
Dominique is
I know she is Dominique. I know. I was so impressed with your picture. I saw it on Facebook yesterday or the day before. And I meant to write to you and ask you where you got your mushroom kit from. I know there's kits out there and I've been wanting to get one because I watched, there's this great chef, Wicked Kitchen. I can't remember the chef's name, but the channel is Wicked Kitchen. And he's incredible what he does with mushrooms in particular. And he's made the most amazing lion's mane steaks. And I've been wanting to get them, but they are very expensive here in Toronto, aside from growing them yourself.
I got them at the Montreal Vegan Festival.
Oh, so lucky.
It was crazy. It's a crazy adventure, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
So I was wondering if you knew how to, I don't know, cook them or whatever. I don't know.
No, I'm not. No, that's going to be my next venture though, because you're inspiring me.
Cool.
We did have, which ones were those?
Lobster mushrooms, and we got them from the Myconid shop in Montreal.
Oh, right. Yes. The only mushroom I'm not a fan of is enoki mushrooms. We had like bows. They have like these vegan bows that we used to go and eat, and I loved them, but I didn't like the enoki. I find them really stringy and they get caught in my teeth, and I'm just not a fan of the texture of it.
They're so pretty though.
But they're very pretty. I know they are very pretty. I'm just personally not a big fan of them. Okay, so I put in a little bit more of my broth, maybe about another 1/4 cup, because I'm going to bring my my oyster mushrooms back. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. And then on your stove, this will start simmering. Mine, just because my pan is too big for my own. It's probably not going to do it now, but this will start to simmer, and you can just continue to simmer it down a bit and let the garlic get even softer. But yeah, I salt and pepper to taste, and then add your, oops, I think I did like half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of salt, and then just bring your scallops, your mushrooms back in. And let them absorb the garlic and lemon juices. And then again, you can serve this with some pasta, with greens, whatever. But that's it. So sorry I don't have any pasta to put it on top of, but I'll take one out and we'll show you what the texture is like. I'm gonna turn this off. I'll take one out and as you can see, the texture is sort of rubbery. Well, for those of you that have eaten oyster mushroom, I'm sure you already know, but you know, it's got that rubberiness like a scallop. It definitely has the same sort of like, especially when you score it, like just that sort of not flakiness, but it's not, I don't know if it's I don't even know what it is. It's just that texture of, for those that have eaten scallops, you'll know what I mean. But they're incredible. I could probably sear them more, but like the texture is just like it's just like a scallop. You definitely, in my opinion, need to soak these overnight to really absorb the flavors. But here, Ray, you want to try it? Tell me if you think. So there you have it. There's 2 easy meals in less than a half hour, and they will absolutely impress your family.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Thanks again for having me. Yeah, if you make this, please message me on social media and let me know how they went.
The texture is great, and scallops are one of the things that I really loved before I became vegan. Just having that crispy seared taste and feel is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Kelly. And it's time for our next guest, but I'm not sure that our next guest is here yet. So,
can I ask a question, BJ?
Sure.
In the meantime.
Yes, while we're waiting, you bet. Go ahead.
Kelly, this has been wonderful. Relatively new, like I have only a month of going vegan. And so this has been amazing to watch you do what you did today. I'm wondering if you have it written down. I think like some of the vocabulary is new to me. I haven't heard of some of these things, and I think I might have missed at least one ingredient in both recipes. I'm wondering if you have them written down anywhere.
Absolutely, yes. If you want to message me, I'm the VeganAbler on social media. I'll put the ingredients under this video. Yeah, I'll type them up and put them. So if you go to Climate Healers as well, I'll add the ingredients as well. But if you have any questions for me at all, you know, where do I buy these ingredients? You know, anything like that, I'm happy to help answer those. But I will add them underneath the video. I'll have them up by the end of the day.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful.
Congratulations on making the switch.
Thank you. Thank you.